This is a public service announcement for SaaS founders.
Hey there, SaaS founders. I've got something good for you today. This was a Q&A call inside of our community. By the way, if you're not part of it yet, click link below this video and there'll be a link to join our free SaaS scaling community where you can get daily insights on how to scale without friction, how other SaaS founders are doing it, how we're doing it with our partners, etc. in real time. Anyway, today I've got a treat for you. So there's something going on in the industry and it's specifically with agencies, okay? And one thing I realized when I was scaling my agency was it got really chaotic really quickly, okay? And the truth is, if you're relying on working with agencies in 2024 to grow your SaaS, it is going to be painful. To be honest, you're rolling the dice on whether you scale or not. And the reason I can say this is because when I was an agency owner doing one thing, the same service as 1,000 other agency owners, because the landscape's so competitive for them, what happens is they'll keep doing their one service. You'll outsource one or multiple of your business functions to one or multiple agencies, okay? Because they can't deliver on the entire gap of scaling issues you'll face, the mechanism they're in charge of works for a while, and then when it doesn't, it creates a bottleneck inside the rest of your business. And for this exact reason, I realized we have to either A, just shut everything down, or B, solve bigger problems. And essentially, in this Q&A call we had in our community, I break down exactly what problems you'll come across, the reason you can't rely on an agency to solve it, and a couple solutions, because we like solutions. Okay, but anyway, as always, if you find value in this video, once you finish watching it, click the subscribe button and click the like button, leave a comment, let us know what you like, what you want to see next. And again, if you want to be on one of these next calls live, click the link below this video to join the SaaS game community. But otherwise, yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, I suppose it comes down to where you're at and where you're trying to go. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to build some of it out right in front of you now before I get into the agency stuff. Okay. Okay, cool. So this is your typical SaaS lifecycle at different stages based on your ARR, okay? So we have here that's less than 100K MRR. Oh, no. ARR. So what's that like? 8.3K a month. So that's typically pre-MVP phase. Okay. And then you have and then you have 100K. So really this is the first major revenue milestone, which means your product market fit is really dialed in, you're getting traction, and the market has accepted your product. Okay. Then you've got 500K. Okay, so it's further growth, and the initial strategies you're using are currently effective. Okay, and then after 500K, there's a million. Oh, ARR. ARR. And after that, there's a million. Okay, so a million in annual recurring revenue. So once you hit this milestone, you start to realize that there's a lot more demand for your SaaS than you originally thought. Okay, and also this is where more investors start looking at you. And then next, it's 3 mil annual recurring revenue. So again, more growth. You start to become a household name in your market, and this is really where you're like scaling and growing the team. And after 3, I'd probably group them together. I'd probably say like 5 to 10. 5 to 10 mil ARR. Okay, now when you're here, okay, now at this stage, this is large scale growth. So your product market fit is refined. And what you start to notice is, I'm not going to do a video on this. Your mission normally changes so you can start tackling much greater problems. Okay, and all in all, you have a strong market presence and like a significant customer base. Okay, so now that we've outlined that, okay, if you really want to grow your SaaS, at a minimum, you're going to need this. Right? So mechanisms needed to grow SaaS. Okay, so first, you're going to need a value proposition. So first, you need a value proposition. You need to be solving a very specific problem for a very specific audience. It has to be something unique, and you need to price it based on the level of value it brings. Okay. And after a value proposition, you need steady lead flow. So you need systems and you need an acquisition source, okay, that brings in 10 to 100 leads per day without it depending on you using your time. Okay. So that's the second one. After lead flow, you need appointments. So appointment setting. So if you need appointment setting, then you need a team, you need processes, and you need systems that create 2 to 10 calls per day without your effort and time being needed to do it. Okay. And after appointment setting, you need effective fulfillment. Oh, don't like that. There we go. Okay, so you need a fulfillment model where you create something once and deploy it an unlimited amount of times. Okay, so software, and you need for it to be able to collect data from each user so you can improve and iterate it when you're scaling, so at scale. Okay, and to clarify, this will work in the beginning if your SaaS is low ticket. Okay, but if it's a high ticket product, if your SaaS is high ticket, then you need to go deeper on solving the rest of the gap. But what's actually really interesting is because most agencies can't solve the whole gap, I'm going to show you why working with agencies on your SaaS is doing you a disservice, and it's not going to serve you where you're trying to go. Okay. So let me actually let me get this back up. Okay, cool. So when you work with an agency, they'll typically do one service. Okay. Right. So agency, one service. Okay. The reason why they'll do one service is because really early on, when you launch an agency, you realize that if you want to grow and get clients, it's better to have depth and try to master one thing rather than take on any client who wants a whole range of services that you have no clue how to deliver on. Okay. So what happens? They get focused on getting good at one skill set. Okay. And then they look for companies who all have a need, all have a use case for that skill set. Now, as a business owner, you just want great results and to grow quickly. Okay. You want to grow quickly. Okay. Yeah, actually, let me put this in as well. So, business owner, this is what they want. This is what all business owners want. Okay. Grow. You want to grow quickly, grow effortlessly, and you want to grow sustainably. Okay. Okay. So business owners, you just want to grow quickly, effortlessly, and sustainably. Okay. And the job of an agency is to be able to convey to you that their way is the best way for you to get results. Okay. Now, that could be what different agencies do we have? That can be ads and management. That can be short form content, SEO, conversion rate optimization, CRO, appointments, cold email. Guys, put in the chat what others have we got? Okay, and all these different ways, right? There are literally 1,000 other agency owners out there doing the exact same thing, but they're all charging various prices for their services that you'll pay every month as a retainer. Okay, now the issue with this is because we're all business owners, we all know the basic principles of supply and demand. Okay, so understanding this, you'll shop around and barter for the lowest price that makes sense for your business to be sustainable. Okay, they're only in charge of one aspect of your business, whether it's your positioning, your cold email, appointment setting, short form content, etc. They're all in charge of one. Okay, so what that means is if you have an issue in any one of these other areas, okay, they can't help you. Or they say they can get it done and they outsource it to cheap labor, like a freelancer on another continent, where you roll the dice on your results. Okay. Or at best, they might refer you to like another agency they partner with for a finder's fee. Okay. Okay, so ads, for example, right? They might be getting you loads of exposure, but then that exposure doesn't convert into sales or meaningful actions because you might have a conversion problem that they can't do anything about. Does that make sense? Okay, and because you shopped around and got the lowest price, they actually can't afford to get the best talent, so you don't get great results. And then what happens? I mean, you stop paying them, you look for the next agency, and this essentially is the start of your vicious cycle. Okay. And to be fair, some agencies, they may handle more than one, but again, they can't deliver on the whole pipeline or solve for the entire gap because that's not what they do. Okay. Not only that, but you're already paying them or you've been paying them for months already to get results. Okay. And it's just taking too long. The problem here is you have to pay them month to month to make anything work. Okay. Now, how do I know all of this? We were in the exact same position, and this is how we were seen in the market before I started working with SaaS companies. So I said, you know what? Let's just skip you guys paying us to handle your ads. Let's just go ahead and get the best people and let's solve for the entire gap. Okay. And so that it's leverage and you have to pay us every single month. Let's go ahead and just build the whole thing out for you to own, solve for all of these, solve for your value proposition, solve for your lead flow, solve for your appointment setting, solve for your fulfillment, solve for everything else that actually isn't even here. Of course, if you're selling something higher ticket, then you need to go deeper on solving bigger problems. So I said, let's just go ahead and build the whole thing for you to own, okay? And we'll just charge you once upfront, okay? And let's work with you and your team for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, just showing you exactly how to get the best results with it in a leverage way so everyone can claim their time back and not work 60-hour weeks. Why not, right? Okay. Oh, yeah. And also, let's build it using the data from what works from the fastest growing SaaS companies doing the exact same thing. Okay. I'm going to show you the other side of this. So, this is if you go down the agency route. Okay. So, if you go down the agency route, right, you're going to need different agencies to dial in the following. Okay. Let's have something else. Let's make these all this color. So, first, the go-to-market strategy. So you're going to need an agency that can continuously refine your direction, your product market fit, what the market actually wants and needs. A lot of this really is researching, testing, and application. Okay. And then after that, you're going to need an agency for the next problem that will come up, the next problem solved, which is generating attention. So what do you need there? You need an ad agency. Okay. Then the next gap you have to solve for is strategy and management for owning the attention. So you need an agency that's good at building communities. Okay. And then after that, you need sales. So you need a sales agency. And after that, you need fulfillment. So you need an agency that can install the best platforms for support and reputation management. And then you need to retain your users. So you need an agency that can handle retention. And then finally, if you really want to scale and grow, you need an agency that can handle your ascension and really create a moat. So this is really moat creation. Okay. Right, check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you're paying each agency an average of 3K a month, which is about the market average if you hope to get half decent results, all of these moving parts, you now have to be the glue in making sure they all interact with each other and make it work. So now, instead of working on the more leveraged business functions that ensure you grow quickly, effortlessly, and sustainably, your main role is managing the agencies that are managing the different parts of the machine. Okay, it's like a production line building a car. Okay, and you've got all these different teams, each working on one part. Like, do you realize how volatile this is? Okay, I'm going to show you because first of all, managing this type of business, even if you're not working 60-hour weeks, it will almost make you not want to run a business because there's always a new problem. And it's never just one thing at the same time. So firstly, this isn't quick, okay? Because when they come in, they'll need to dial in every aspect and test. That testing period typically is the first 3 months. So after month three, that's when things will really start kicking off. Ask yourself, do you have the luxury of waiting 3 months? Okay, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Because I mean, like you have to remember, like something a lot of SaaS founders don't realize or forget is like there's friction signing up, man. Like we're in the global subscription economy, and you're asking someone to add your software to the list of things they're already paying for every month. Like it's friction signing up, man. And it's not effortless because what happens is when one thing stops working with one agency in this pipeline, it creates a bottleneck that affects the rest of the system. Okay. So the most common example is you might have your market messaging really dialed in, you're generating attention, you're growing a following and people know your brand. Okay, but your sales agency are underperforming. Okay, so there's a bottleneck and that affects everything else. Okay, that affects the rest of the system. And the reason you got them in the first place is because they're way better at selling, right? Okay, so your answer isn't to start doing it yourself all over again, because again, you're back to working in your business on it. So you won't scale. So what do? You find another agency who have to test all over again. So it's not quick and it's not effortless. Okay. But it's not sustainable either because what happens is most of these agencies, on top of the retainer, they're going to want a one-time fee up front, which is like a setup fee, which is anywhere between, say, 2 to 5K setup fee, 2 to 5K, right? And to be fair, even if we ignore that setup fee, okay, even if we ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist, like they're going to use their time, their team's time to set it all up correctly free. Even if we ignore the setup fee, if you're paying 3K a month, oh, free, let's specify 3K a month retainer average. If you're paying 3K a month, all these companies here, what's that? So that's seven, so that's 21K a month. Okay. If you're waiting 3 months before you really see results, that's 63K you've sunk before things even get pumping. Okay, now let's say you're not paying 7 different agencies to handle this because you've got a couple of team members who are good at some of these. So you've got a team member who is good at building communities, and you've got a team member who is really good at finding the best platforms to support, fill. So let's say even then, all that happens anyway is that some of these agency costs turn into payroll instead. Okay, now let's say we low scale it. Let's say we lowball it, right? So instead of 3K a month, you shopped around and it's 1K each. Okay, that's still 7K a month. That's still 21K before month three. The difference is now, because it's a lower price point, they actually can't afford the best talent to be able to get you the best results. And now you're stuck and you don't even know exactly what's changed. Actually, it's worse because you're not even back at square one because now a lot of your capital is gone. It's not quick, it's not effortless, it's not sustainable. And this is why, for a lot of you who saw the time versus money video I dropped on YouTube last week, I want to be really, really clear on what that means from the point of view of SaaS. Okay. Because what happens is when you get sold on price and you look around for something that's really cheap, like that's not a problem, but you should expect to get results that match. Okay. And what happens is usually the cheap thing ends up being way more expensive because you have to pay exponentially more to fix things. Okay. Oh, yeah. And also, on top of that, you don't own it anyway. Okay. You don't own the system because once you stop working with all these different agencies, they take their resources, they take their expertise, they take their team, and they bounce. Why? Because it's done for you. Okay. So just to actually really clarify that point, for a lot of you who don't know, where I source my insights from the tech world, it's from value investors and like the people who shape the market and the industry. And all I do is I listen to like where they're putting the money and why. And when they're doing risk assessments, right, one of the things they really look out for is something called concentration risk. Okay, now what that typically means is how much money you're bringing in versus how many sources it's coming from. Okay, so as an example, let's say you're bringing in 50K a month, but it's from 4 clients. That's a really, really big concentration risk. Okay, because all that needs to happen is one client leaves, and then that's a quarter of your revenue off the board. And I don't know, something I started to realize is there's another side of this though, because when you think about it, if you're relying on different agencies to make different parts of your business work, all that needs to happen is you decide that, the results here aren't worth it, bye. And you decide you're not getting enough lead flow, bye. And what happens is you start to get rid of them, or they even close shop, and you feel the impact of that immediately. This is your business. Okay, so essentially, if you were to really remove them all, you'll have your software at face value, and then underneath it, your systems and operations that really drive the growth is a skeleton. Okay, and I guess your alternative, if you were to work with all these different agencies, is you have to do it long term. Okay, whether they're getting great results or not, you just have to stick with them long term. And don't forget, a lot of these business functions you see here, like the things you need to grow, agencies also need those exact same things. So you're actually technically in the same boat. Okay. Who wants to work with loads of agencies forever, where the success of your SaaS is determined by other companies who have multiple clients they're managing, figuring out how they can get the most money from you? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And that's not to say it's not possible, but it's a lot of headache. The level of headache that this system brings will make you not want to run a business anymore. It might make you want to go back and get a 9 to 5. And if the goal is to get here, then this isn't how you do it. Okay, how do I know this? Again, as I say, we were in that position when I ran my ad agency. So if it sounds like I'm slamming agencies, it's because like this here was us. Okay, this system here was us. And I realized there is no way we can carry on like this. It's so volatile. How on earth am I going to scale this chaos? I don't even want to scale the business I'm running. Why on earth would I want to scale anyone else's? I mean, this system here is so volatile. Like, there's a bigger game to play. There are bigger levers to pull to make it quicker, more effortless, and more sustainable. Okay. But here's what you need to figure out. Okay. So, what you're going to need, you need to figure out what type of business you want to run. Okay. Because your SaaS is a product, and I guess it's like the top layer, and it could be the best product in the world, but there are so many business functions needed underneath it that determine how effective your product is. Like your software is the plant above the ground. Everything underneath the ground, the roots, the soil, the nutrients, everything people on the outside can't see. If that's not great, it won't grow. Okay. And all that's going to happen is you'll keep trying new things. You'll keep adding more water and sunlight, etc. But maybe you can't even see what's happening underneath your software. Okay. So first you need to figure out what type of business you want to run. Okay. Now after that, you're going to need to figure out how to get 1,000 people to see your product every single day. And then after that, you need to figure out how to nurture the eyeballs that you get. And then from there, you need to figure out the best way to convert. You need to figure out the best way to convert those eyeballs, whether they're to users, whether it's to free trials, paid signups. You need to figure out your conversion. After conversion, you need to figure out your fulfillment. After your fulfillment, you need to figure out the best way to keep your users in once you spent money on them. So what does that mean? That means you need to figure out your retention. Okay. And once you're retaining your users, you also need to figure out the best way for them to pay you more over time. And most importantly, they want to do it. And the reason they want to do it is because you're providing them infinitely more value. Okay. And also, what you need to figure out, you need to get the data on what works and what doesn't, so you can improve and iterate over time. So really, this is it. This is the system. And honestly, if you have your product market fit and you have some users already, and you want to skip figuring all of this out and collapse the amount of time it takes and own the infrastructure that makes all of this work, if you want us to work with you to do it, then just book a call. The link is below. If you have been burned by an agency, if you want to end the cycle, if you're in that vicious cycle we went through, then just click the link below. But even better, if you want to just go ahead and just skip that entire stage so you keep the capital you would have lost, then I mean, we'll be happy to come in, build out the infrastructure and avoid all of these failure scenarios that you're going to come across. Okay, so what I'm going to do, okay, so I'm going to make this Lucid chart available to you guys in the community. If you watch this on YouTube in a couple of weeks and you want to get access to this as well, DM me on Instagram at MikeAJK and I'll get it across to you. Or you can click one of the links below this video and get in the community. It's free. Okay, and you'll get access to it straight away. But guys, you know, I've ran way over. I hope this has been really valuable, but let me know down below and have a beautiful day. And I'll see you next one. Peace.